Welcome back to the Us vs. Them YouTube channel. I'm your host Vince, and yes, I'm wearing a Britney Spears shirt. Cry about it. We're going to look at the next 3 fights for the UFC Fight Night this coming weekend. First fight we're going to be looking at is a fight that I really think that the underdog has got a really good chance to win, and he's actually going to be my prediction. I'm going to definitely go. The first fight that we're going to talk about today is Danny Silva at plus 330 versus Kevin Vallejos at minus 480. Danny Silva is coming in this fight with a 10-1 record and a 2-0 UFC record, and Vallejos is coming in with a 15-1 record and a 1-0 UFC record. When I look at the Danny Silva and Kevin Vallejos fight, especially when I look at the grappling, I think when it comes to their grappling, neither guy really looks to grapple that much unless their striking is either A, not working, or B, they're trying to set up their striking. We saw this in Silva's fight against Josh Coulibaugh, where Josh was pressuring him and landing. But Silva found takedowns when he needed to slow the pace down to the fight that he really needed to, and he was able to be successful in that fight. Both guys are really solid in their takedown defense, honestly, so I don't see grappling being too much of a factor here. Obviously, with these two guys, it's definitely going to be a stand-up fight. Silva likes to pressure and move forward, land shots in close, whereas Vallejos likes to strike at range, and once he finds out that he hurts somebody, then he starts to swarm them. I think the winner of this fight will definitely be whoever is able to strike at the range that they prefer. Both these guys have fought tough dudes in the past, and I think that they can lean on that experience for this fight, and it'll help both of them. For Silva, we saw his debut fight against Josh Coulibaugh. Josh Coulibaugh at the time had 6 fights already in the UFC, winning 3 of them, had a 3-2-1 record going into that fight, and Coulibaugh obviously making his debut. So it's a tough ask for a debut fighter right in the beginning. Coulibaugh was not an easy fight, and that fight ended up being very much a dog fight, but we saw Silva obviously get it done. As far as for Vallejos, we also saw him get a chance to fight John Silva on Dana White's Contender Series. John Silva did what John Silva does, and he eventually won a decision. That's the last person that went the full distance with Silva. So they both have a lot of experience that they can lean on going to this fight. As far as the prediction goes, I think that this fight is going to be way closer than the odds suggest. I think the power and aggression advantage is going to be for Silva, whereas the technical advantage is going to be for Vallejos. Sometimes I think that technicality aspect of it for Vallejos kind of gets him stuck in the mud, and he doesn't really open up, take chances, and fight a dogfight like he's going to have to. And with a guy like Silva, he's definitely going to have to fight a dogfight. Another key factor here is Danny Silva trains with Cub Swanson, who I think is an absolute wizard at studying opponents and breaking down opponents and finding the path of victory, the path of least resistance even. So given those things, I'm definitely going to go with Silva by decision. I know he's an underdog, but I think the dog is barking here. The next fight we're going to get into is Neil Magny versus Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos. If you want to add that, I guess that part is optional. I don't understand Brazilians. But Magny's coming in at a plus 154 underdog, and Zaleski is at a minus 200. Both these guys have a lot of experience in the UFC. This is going to be Magny's 35th fight in the UFC, but Zaleski's been around too, and I believe this is his 17th fight. When I'm breaking down Magny's striking, there isn't a whole lot of footage to break down, at least in his recent fights. Obviously, Magny in his early UFC career might have been striking more, but there is no reason for me to go back and look at fights from 10 years ago. When I'm looking at recent fights, I'm looking at him underutilizing his range, underutilizing his jabs and his kicks, and we're also seeing him kind of going a one-dimensional approach in his fighting. He wants to get guys against the cage, wear on them, and make them tired. We also saw Magny very susceptible to leg kicks. Obviously, in the Ian Gary fight, the first 2 kicks that Ian Gary threw were both to his legs and both knocked him down. 2 kicks, 2 knockdowns right when the fight starts. The next fight, when he fought Mike Malott realized that that was his path to victory too. And even though Neil Magny was able to get a victory in that fight, Malott was destroying his legs, and that could definitely play a factor in this fight. Zaleski is more versatile in his striking. We've seen him in the past land heavy leg kicks, heavy body kicks. We've seen him utilize his boxing really well. When he gets in boxing range, he can find success there. And we've also seen that he can take damage. In the Fakardinov fight, Fakardinov caught him really early in the fight, knocked him down, and got on top of him and started swarming him. And he was able to recover and eventually work his way to a draw in that fight. So it shows how tough and gritty he is. When it comes to the grappling, obviously I've already said it. Neil Magny is looking to press the fight, get up in the clinch, press the fight up against the cage, wear on his opponent, and then later in round 2 and starting in round 3, he's going to start trying to find some damage and either get him out of there or win a decision that way. It's a one-dimensional approach, but it is also very effective. Zaleski has good grappling too, especially when it comes to his takedown defense. In his fight against Abubakar Nurmagomedov, he was able to defend a lot of the takedowns, especially as the fight went on. Early in the fight, when he did get taken down, he was able to work back to his feet and get away from Nurmagomedov without taking any damage, and kept it a striking fight. A major X factor in this fight is Magny's craftiness. There was times when I was breaking down his footage and he was in bad positions or on bottom or something, and he was able to get reversals, get himself out of bad positions, and I had no idea what he really did. I literally just wrote down, Neil Magny is very crafty. So that's definitely an X factor in this fight that you just can't prepare for. As far as my official prediction goes, I see Neil Magny having one path to victory. He doesn't have knockout power in his hands, so he's not going to get a knockout unless it's a ground and pound knockout. His one path to victory is pressing him against the cage and wearing on him and making him tired. As effective as it is, it's still a very one-dimensional approach, and that doesn't lend well in MMA, especially in the UFC nowadays. Magny's cardio is high level. Even in fights where he's down and losing, he still doesn't look tired, and that can play a factor here. But despite that, I'm going with Zaleski to get this one done. Magny's coming off 2 brutal KO losses to Carlos Prates and Michael Morales, so his chin could let him down. I don't see Zaleski letting Magny hold him against the cage for 3 rounds and letting Magny skate off for a decision. And for that reason, for my official prediction, I'm going to go with Zaleski by decision. The last fight we're going to be looking at today is Carol Rosa versus Nora Cornolle. Rosa is coming in with a -192 favorite, and Cornolle is a +148. Rosa is coming in this fight with an 18-7 WMA record and a 7-4 UFC record, whereas Cornolle is sitting at 3-1 in the UFC. When it comes to their grappling, I don't see grappling playing too much of a factor here. Both girls have been out-grappled in the past, and both girls have gotten on their back and just accepted bottom position. They don't look to grapple. That's not their path to victory. So I don't see a lot of wrestling or grappling in this fight. Cornolle is a high-level striker. She can lean on her Muay Thai experience in this fight like she does in past fights. She's super light on her feet and has great head movement. She also has crushing knees to the body, which we saw against Melissa Mullins, where she was able to find that liver shot and bent her over, and that was the end of the fight. She has 6 KOs and 2 submissions in her 9 victories, and for women's MMA, that's a high percentage finishing. She's super good at finishing fights, and that's going to play a factor here. Rosa has good striking too, especially when she's in close range. When she's not in close range, she likes to land heavy leg kicks, which we saw against Eileen Perez and Pani Kianzad. I'm not a pronunciator guy. But the heavy leg kicks could definitely play a big factor in this fight. Rosa is very defensively sound in her striking, and sometimes to her own detriment. When you're going to strike against somebody, as strikers know, you have to get in the other person's range to be able to land your strikes. Sometimes Rosa is so defensively sound that she just doesn't throw enough volume, and it's got her into trouble in the past. Cornolle is a meaner fighter, and she definitely treats it like it is just a street fight or a fist fight. She's looking to cause serious damage, and she's looking to finish fights. Because Rosa is so defensively sound, I see this fight going the distance, but for my official prediction, I'm going to go Cornolle by decision. If you've been watching my videos all week, we've already broken down 9 fights. The Austin Bashi fight doesn't have a money line yet because he just got re-signed to another fight yesterday. So of those 8 fights that we've already broken down, if you put a $10 parlay on just money line, that $10 turns into $2,084. And I can definitely see this happening. Come back tomorrow where we're going to break down the last 3 fights for the fight card coming up this weekend. And make sure you definitely stop by on Friday where I'm going to give you my official parlays. I have 2 or even 3 parlays that I'm going to give. And it'll be $10 or $15 that'll turn into hundreds or even thousands of dollars. And they have definitely a live chance. So I'll see you guys later this week, and I'm out. It's Brittany, bitch.